Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel Aviation Cadet. This is Aviation Cadet Sabir Shah from 99th GDP in Pakistan Air Force. First of all is the disclaimer that this video is not endorsed, sponsored or speaking on the behalf of Pakistan Air Force or government of Pakistan. All the views and comments in this video expressed in this video are my own and based on my own experience. So as promised, I would go through a little bit of my early life, my childhood, and we will start from there and see how I got selected in Pakistan Air Force until my initial tests at Rawalpindi Selection Center. So again, because all my videos are to motivate the youth, especially the age of 16 to 22 years of age. And if you want to be independent in your life, you don't want to be dependent on your parents, the best place to go is Pakistan military forces. And among the military forces, the best place to go in is Pakistan Air Force. And among the best professions, it's the general duty pilots, the GDPs, the future fighter pilots. So when I was a little boy, when I was born, we had very severe, tough conditions in our family. My family was a refugee from Kashmir in 1947, and they stayed in the Pakistani part of Azad Jammu and Kashmir in Atmakam, near Atmakam Valley. We also call it the Neelam Valley. They lived their lives until the year 1962, when, well, I think before that, 1960, when the Operation Gibraltar was being assigned in Pakistan to, 1965 war came in 1965, of course, but the roots of that war start from 1960s onwards when this operation was being discussed. So the border areas had to be evacuated, so my family had to double migrate from Indian occupied Kashmir to Pakistan, Pakistani administrated Kashmir, and then from there to the mainland Pakistan. So around in the 60s, my mom and dad, they migrated to Pakistan, where my dad got selected for Pakistan Air Force as a junior tech. This is the lowest rank in Pakistan Air Force. Equals to Jawan or sailor in Sepoy or sailor in Navy and military army. And there he got the education in Karangi Creek, Karachi as an associate engineer in electrical engineering. And he got this NCO non-commissioned job in Pakistan Air Force. And during those times it was just a white collar job where you could get enough to support your family. So my first brother was born, my sister was born, then my brother was born. 1975 I was born. So when I was born, right after 2 years, the worst martial law in Pakistan happened, and the civil government was wrapped up, and I was 2 years of age. And then the martial law came in, and economical conditions of Pakistan were not good. Now there are many reasons for that, but I think because most of the time, the biggest reasons could be because of the military budget was very high, and we had to do that because the enemy on our eastern border, the rival on our eastern border, is always eyeing on us. So I'm not giving any excuses for those economical conditions. We have gone through those ones; they're gone. Pakistan is a southern country and knows how to defend their borders. So I am happy with what we had suffered back during that time, what we have suffered back then. In my childhood, our family, although my dad was a warrant officer back then, which is the second highest rank in a non-commissioned officer's rank, then you become a chief warrant officer. And he got retired because his age my dad was born in 1932 and he got retired in 1977. So that was around the age of 55, I think, 45 years of age. So, well, anyhow, this is how our family was. And we used to stand in the queues every month to get the ration, because every family was given the ration cards. and you could get limited amount of food. So after retirement, the pension was so little that we could hardly get 3 meals a day. The conditions were tough back then. Even my dad was a retired warrant officer, but again, there were no subsidies for the retired officers, nothing. Everyone had to be equally dealt back then. So we used to stay in the line and get our like a bag of flour and then the sugar and then the tea, the lentils. These things were sold in the Russian depots. But I mean, the shelf vegetables, like you could buy them in a local market or anything. So those things were available. The shelf life was not very long, but the grains they were only available at the Russian depots. So limited Russian. So imagine a country like Pakistan, and then you are growing in that kind of country where it's a developing country and struggling for its survival, for its existence, and one arm of the country has already been cut in 1971, and we are just going for survival, and we did very well. I think Pakistan did really good. So we went through those times. So imagine how that would affect any kid's growth. So I was not exception. There were many deficiency syndromes, you could say, not the mental ones. I don't know how, but mentally I was strong. Physically I wasn't. I was underweight throughout my life. Same was the case with my other siblings. We were not those chubby kids, like skinny. I'm still skinny to the day. Don't know why. Maybe it's my build. But anyhow, what I'm saying is that there were many nutritious deficiencies all over Pakistan during that time. And kids from those ages, you will still not see them, like those who were born in 1970s, mid-70s till the martial law time, 1988. You won't see any big tummy guys around. Even if you look at the military generals of those times, those who have served, you will see not. So that was the problem. So we went through those phases. So my elementary school, my primary school, I have no idea how I survived that one and how I passed. I just have a few memories of that one. So I was basically a very, you could say, a shy child at that time. I wasn't opened up, and the reason being I was scared to be in public, to face people. So anytime any guests come home, I used to hide under the charpai. Okay, we don't have the beds, which modern kids have. Mm-hmm. This generation kids have the nice, sophisticated beds. We didn't have those. We had no sofas. We had those nylon knitted chairs. Well, that's what it was. And we were living in a city, in the center of the city, Rawalpindi, near satellite town, C block satellite town, you could say the slump area of that. I've seen the Slumdog Millionaire, right? So it was the slum area. To live in Kachiyabadis used to call. So anyhow, till my grade 5, I have no memories. I don't remember my teachers. I only remember my school principal, Mr. Anwar Hussain Shah. And I always believed that he's my relative, but he wasn't, because I was Sabir Hussain Shah, he was Anwar Hussain Shah. So that's why I remember his name till the day. And I had a friend, Birjis, and I just sort of remember him he had a bob cut. I tried to look for him on Facebook with the name Birjis, but tons of Birjises came up. So that's one of the kids. And then one was Naeem Ikram. I remember his name very well. And I met him even in my college life as well, because he used to live near my home. So apart from these two kids and the school locations, I just have very little memories of it. So even my memory was not opened up. So I evolved very late in my growth. So at the age of, I would say, when I was 9 years of age, I graduated from my primary school and then had to go to middle school, and then that was the time when we had to change. And my school's name was Kohsar Model School. Kohsar means the mountain model school, so Kohsar Model School. And we used to go on a school van, and that was a very old van. And I remember the driver's face. He was from Suba, Sirhad province, Sirhad at that time. And a very nice guy, and he always used to pick us up from my uncle's shop and then drop us back there every day. So what I'm saying is the elementary school, no memory at all. Now, once we changed the school, and that was the time when my dad bought a new house in Mohalla Amarpura, and we moved to the new house, single-story house, bigger than the previous one. And the previous one was it's still our family house, still there, smaller. The new house was a little bit bigger than the previous one, around I would say 100 square yards. So that was the whole total, and single story with three main bedrooms and one storeroom and two bathrooms and one little, you call it veranda. I don't know why, the Spanish style of housing in which there's a hole in the middle. Sorry. So now when I went to my grade 6 in the new school where I stayed till my high school, Holy Purpose School, it was located in Askramal scheme, Rawalpindi, right next to Nala, okay, at the sewage system. So I did my grade 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in that school in 5 years. There, my actual skills came out actually. We had a co-education, so there were girls and boys in the classroom. Previously, only the boys. It was the Kosar Boys Model School. Kosar Model School for boys only, no girls in that school. I remember very clearly. So once we went to Holy Purpose School, it was a co-education, and I remember my first roll number in grade 6 was 86. So there were 86 students in one class, around 30 girls and 50 odd boys. And our monitor, she was one of the greatest personality I've ever seen during that time, and she was brilliant. So that was my first motivational thing. That kind of that gender empowerment came in. It's why a woman, a female, is our monitor? Why can't I be? So I remember my class teacher, Madam Sahida. Well, she was our class teacher back then. Very strong personality woman again. I remember them very clearly. Our principal, Madam Fazi, and she's not in the world anymore. May she rest in eternal peace. So, anyhow, this is where my life's second phase started, where I started to take interest in my studies round, only to beat that monitor, so that I should become the monitor. But my first 5 years of education, I have no idea what I learned. I don't remember anything, a few stories, and we used to, back then we used to have one TV in the whole street, and we used to go to that house and we used to watch Chips, the TV serial, and the American TV serial Chips. And after that it was the Night Riders, then the Airwolf. So, and MacGyver, yeah, that was later on, but these are the TV programs that we saw on the Cartoon Network. So, and I had no interest in the news, English news, stuff like that. So don't remember much of that childhood. But I was a very dirty kid. I remember my mom used to beat me up because after school, we used to be in the ground and without shoes, without slippers, into the ground and then running here and there. And so when in the evening we used to go back home, my mom was waiting for us, throw us in the bathroom, get the shower on with the pipe, not shower. We didn't have showers back then, the pipe, and spray like a car. Just clean us up, get the clothes off, and get into bed. So, dirty kid, honestly, and a shy kid. But very athletic. Although with my physique, people could hardly believe that I could walk. I was underweight. Even when I joined the Air Force, I've told in the previous videos, I was 43 kilos with a height of 5'10". 43 kilos. Far below the average weight of that time, that height. But anyhow, so in middle school, from grade 6 till grade 8, we went through different phases. It was okay. I started opening up. What I found out that I have a kind of this, what you call the photogenic memory, or the photo memory, that I used to skim through something and I could remember that for a short period of time, like goldfish. For example, if there's a page of 10 lines and I just skim through it and I put the page down, I could go through that again without looking at it 90% correctly. So that was the ability which I found out. So which made me a bit, I should have developed on that one, but I didn't. And I became lazy because then I knew that, oh, I can remember everything. So right before the exams in grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, I just used to sit one night before the exam, go through my books, and the next day appear in the exam and done. I used to get into, in the class of 86, I used to be 20, around 20, in terms of the marks and the position secured in the class. So that was my first skill. That I used to skim things, reading, and I could remember most part of it. So that was my first skill which I found. Second thing, my mom, because my dad was abroad after retirement in 1979, my dad went to Saudi Arabia to serve for Saudi Air Force and then to UAE and then so on. So he stayed in there for 20 years. So I was actually practically raised without a dad. So my mom, she used to do that. And because we had a limited budget back then, till 1985, when the Russian depots were gone off and you could buy anything, anywhere. But my mom, she was unlettered, she was uneducated, unlettered. She just read the Quran, so she could read and write Urdu. But I mean, she didn't have any kind of education. They were refugees, hello, come on, they were surviving. So I don't blame the parents, my grandparents. But I mean, this was it. And giving female the education, that was kind of, difficult thing back in those times. So it was the custom of those times that females have to stay at home. But right now I'm proud of my family. All our females are brilliant, get good jobs. So women empowerment, yes, I always support that. So what my mom used to do is she was the sole owner of the house. So any money my dad used to send, she used to receive it from the bank and then keep her under her blocker. And then she used to spend the money on our daily food and the uniform and the clothing and the wedding ceremonies and the funerals, because you have to be in Pakistan, you have to pay, things on that. So that's the custom. So my mom used to do that. So moving forward, what my mom used to do, she used to keep every day's record. Now, she had problems in writing, so she used to ask help from the elder brother when he went to the college, then my sister, then when she went to college, then my brother, and the elder brother when he went to college. It was my turn. So I became the bookkeeper. So I remember we had a big register. No one else in the whole family did that. Only my mom used to do that. So bookkeeping was the second thing what we spent every day and at the end of the month. So that databasing, we used to calculate how much money was spent every day. In 30 days, what's the average spending of the money? And next month, how are we going to control the budget to save some money? And that's what my mom used to do. And when she used to save that money, so we used to buy Eid clothes, Ramadan clothes, and the Bakra Eid, Eid al-Duha. So that's how my mom managed the books, and I was one part of it. So for those 3 years, 5 years actually, from grade 6 till grade 10, that was my second ability, bookkeeping. And again, athletics were always on top. Football and cricket were my basic games, and then we used to play other little games. I even played the buntes, we could used to call them, the marbles and gilli danda. No English for that one. We used to play that one, although we used to be beaten by mom and my elder brother a lot. But I mean, I played every kind of game which we could play in the ground which was available. That was the ASF, the Airport Security Forces ground in front of us. Huge ground, right? It could be like 5 or 6 cricket stadiums. Even now, it's a big park with 2 huge stadiums, cricket stadium and a football stadium. So we still have that one. So initially it was just an open area, and that's where my childhood was raised. So till the middle school, and then that was the time when the co-education got away, and then we had to be split in class 9 and class 10, boys only and girls only. So girls went to the second floor and boys stayed on the first floor of the school. It was not a setback, because there was no competition now. So from grade 6 till 8, we had a competition, rivalry with the females of the class, and it grew me at least. So I was much more confident, but again, I still have problems in facing public. And but overall, the things which were supposed to be good for the memory, I started picking on those ones, including the math and stuff like that. In grade 9, our school administration changed it to Urdu medium. We used to study in English, all the English, it was English medium, but then the school administration thought that it's of no use. So grade 9, I took Urdu medium in science subjects, in which you study physics, chemistry, math, and biology as major subjects, and then English A, English B, Urdu A, Urdu B, Islamiyat, and social studies. So these are 8 subjects you study in your grade 9, and then you have to appear for grade 9 and 10 collectively for the Punjab Board of Education. So you go to their certified assigned stations to appear in the exam. But later on, what happened that the government, and that was 1988 when Madam Benazir Bhutto, when she came into power and she became the first Prime Minister of Pakistan. And in education, she made compulsory for science students to have every education in English. So we had a setback because we just went into class 9th and it was almost 6 or 7 months gone. So you remember the 1980 elections held very late, and I was in class 8 at that time. So once the education policies kicked in by the year 1889, when I was in class 9, we were already in Urdu medium and studied for 7 or 8 months of the semester. And then when we came to know that first year in a college is going to be in English, so if we are Urdu medium, we can't adopt so quickly. So we changed back. We took English medium again and we started from 0 again. So all the classes were taught again in English to us. So we almost skipped 7 months, and then we covered the remaining time of 2 years course in 13 months and appeared in 1990 in metric we call it, matriculation, the British old system of education, and I secured 536 marks out of 850, which was the first division, 63%. Not a very good score, and on the basis of that one, I tried to get admission in many colleges. My parents said that we shouldn't be going to the government colleges because the condition of the government, but there were a lot of the political parties, their student unions were involved in those kind of institutes in the government run colleges. So my parents, they decided I should go to a private college. So I went to Sir Syed Science College, which is now FG Sir Syed Science College on Tipu Road, Rawalpindi. And again, we had a mishap that instead of, we used to have the combined grade 11 and grade 12 test, again in front of the Punjab Education Board. But in our time, they changed it and they said, we have to go through the semester-wise, like grade 11 separately and grade 12 separately. So we were given 4 months to appear in the grade 11 exams, which we call FSC first year, FSC Faculty of Science first year. That's higher education, secondary higher education in Pakistan. And my subjects were pre-medical, biochemistry and physics, along with, again, social studies, English, Islamiyat, and Urdu. So these were basically the subjects. And college life was totally different from, although it was a private college where you have to secure at least 80% of your class attendance, but you were free to go to a class or not to go to a class. And it was first time to be in college, and I smoked my first cigarette, but I didn't like it. And used to wander around, whatever class you want to skip, you skip. So it was just kind of a bit of freedom back then. So enjoyed for the first semester until the result of the first year came out, and I had the supply, which called supply. I failed 2 of the subjects, my favorite subjects, physics and chemistry. And I couldn't tell my dad. My dad used to come home once every year for 40 days or 30 days annual leave, and then he used to go back to UAE. We never went there during his service. So this was one of the things that I had to admit, that I was really ashamed that my dad, he's working hard in another country just to give us a good future, and I, being a bad son, and I have 2 supplementary exams now. I failed 2 subjects. What kind of face I'm going to show to him? So that was a changing kind of mindset. And I said, I will work hard and I will I will pass all these exams in grade 12. So I did started joining the classes regularly, and just you have to be attentive in a class and just be regular. I think you can pass all the exams, and that's what happened. I passed all the 8 exams, not with flying colors. I've secured 561 marks out of 1100. So imagine it was. But the thing was, the whole college had only 4 students in my batch who passed the exam, and the rest of 50 plus students had some of the subjects they failed. So only 4, and I was, I second topped my school, so my college, with 561 marks. The first one secured, I think, 680 something over first division, but I was in the second division, right at the edge, 51%. So if I would have scored 560, I would have been classified as the third division, but I was in the second division. Again, to the par, but passed. No year was lost. So in 1992, in April, I finished my grade 12 at the age of 16 years and a few months old. And then it was that, what do I need to do now? So again, now by this time I picked up another game that was badminton. I used to play badminton in the ground, in the windy area, the open area, so it wasn't what you call like indoor badminton with proper coaches. We just take the rackets, we bought them from somewhere, those wooden rackets, and then we went into the we made the court, we dig it up with those little shovels, and we put the lime, the carbonated powder on top of that, and then that's how we used to get our courts ready. And we bought the net and just started playing. And eventually, because it was the age of 16, 17, so picked it up really early, and within 2 or 3 months, I was able to play with the people who were professionally trained in gymnasiums. Like we had Lyaka Gymnasium back then, which taught badminton professionally. And one of our street mates, he was learning his badminton there, and he had professional style. Like he could go, you could see him that there's a professional playing, and we were like the street people, how they play. No rules, nothing. So, but anyhow, I did beat him, and I was proud of that back then. So that was my third game. Apart from I'm talking about the major games: cricket, football, and badminton. And I spend most of my time playing these 3 games, most of my time in a day. Studies, sleeping, and the remaining time, most of the time goes to these 3 games. So once I cleared my college, and then I had to apply for the next round, the undergraduate program, the bachelor's. So at that time I took admission in Government College, Oscar Mal, Rawalpindi again. And I got botany, chemistry, and zoology in the beginning. And later on I decided that zoology is not my suit, so I changed it to psychology and studied for 3 months. And that was a time when oh my goodness, our psychology teacher was a psycho. He used to write things on the board, then erase them and say, you stand up. What do we say? What did I write just now? So, hello, I don't remember. So he used to slap the kids and get them out of the class. Although I used to remember, I told you my memory was better. So I used to remember what he used to write on the board. Just again, because of my first year bad experience, I evolved. And I said, at least when you go to the class, just be attentive there and then see what happens in the exams. Sorry. So I started playing cricket professionally with a hard ball. Before that it was tennis ball, and I used to be a fast bowler and batsman too. And there was an under 19 camp being run in Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. So I went and gave trials for under 19 Pakistan, and I was in top 40 at that time. And Shoaib Akhtar, by the way, he was also coming up during that time. So that was a time when my brother asked me to join the initial test. So right now, till almost half an hour gone, I have told about things, how my life evolved from my childhood all the way till before joining the initial tests. So in the next video, I'll come up with the initial test procedure and how I went through that one, how I passed that one, being a dirty, a shy, a kind of a lot of irregularities in the life, non-punctual, and didn't care about his outfit and nothing, how that guy turned into something which Air Force selected and got me selected. So stay tuned for the next video. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.